Um, I saw that you have opening or availability on the weekends.
I do. Saturday's pretty open. Sunday's pretty full.
Yeah, I didn't expect you to be working on that weekend.
Yeah, work every day if I could. Point estimate is the difference between the means is 4, the standard is 5, and the degrees of freedom are 18. What is the 95% confidence interval for the difference between the two population means? So the confidence interval comes from the difference between the means, a plus or minus what's called the margin of error. The margin of error is broken up into the standard error and then this t value based on the confidence interval.
Mhm.
Now, having said all that, we could go to the calculator, enter this information in. This is the second, no, it's the stat test. But you got to be very careful about which one you choose. We want a confidence interval. We want a 2 sample t interval.
Okay.
Do you have your calculator available?
Okay, I'm under that right now.
All right, I'm going to get mine up as well, see what it says there. So that's under stat test 2 sample. So you got to go down. It's number 0, 2 samp t and interval. Do you see that?
Yeah.
And then choose data or stats. And then it's looking for x bar 1.
Mhm.
That's that one. SX1. Now, this time it's the square root of 120 because they're giving you the variance.
Okay.
Okay, so you got to take the square root for SX. That's SX1. N1 is down here. X bar 2, square root again for that one, SX2. And
wait,
then
okay, never mind. Sorry.
and then N2 is 11. Your C value is 0.95 because of the 95% there. So go ahead and calculate that. And I think you'll see that it's one of these values.
Okay. Let me see. It's the first one, right?
That's pretty reasonable considering the numbers we've got here. So yeah, if you want to try that, I assume you like the calculator over doing it by hand.
Definitely.
Okay, so we'll just continue to do that today. All right, so next question here, 15. 15 is similar to what we were doing just now. Snip this in. All right. One of the key things you're looking for when you read this, as well as what's in the table, is whether S or sigma is given. When S is given, you're using a t distribution. Okay. This time they want a confidence interval. That's exactly what you just did. Stat test 2 sample t interval. Okay. So you have to enter all this data in again and do the confidence interval right here, 0.98. So I'll do it as well. This one requires some rounding and stuff. So let me get to where I can do that as well. 77, 7, X2. This time you do not have to take the square root because they're giving you S. They're not giving you S squared. S squared is the variance, regular S is the standard deviation. So just the numbers this time.
Okay. And our sea level is 9.98.
Yes. All right, now this is potentially one of the issues with the calculator here.
Yeah, I got
Is that they don't give you all 3 decimal places.
that's
So I'm not sure what to suggest here. You could try it. I think it's not going to like it. Let me actually do it in another program I use, since this would be sufficient for I mean, this is good enough, but let me actually get the value here for you. Where am I going to do that? Or tell me if that's right, then we can just move on.
Okay. Yeah, let me type that in here. Yeah, the first one was wrong. Shoot. I wonder if I can scroll up. No.
Yeah, let me just get to where I can log into another program I use to answer these questions. All right, stat, T-stats, 2sample, summary. All right, so I got to re-enter the data here, but doing it on a computer, so it should go faster. 36, sample mean 83, standard deviation 8, sample size of 40. And we are pulling the variances, and we're doing a 98%. Okay. Don't do that. Options edit. No, we're not pulling the variances. All right, sorry about that. Minus 10.092.
Okay. Let me check. Perfect.
Part B. There's 3 parts here. We'll snip in the first 3. All right, at alpha equals 0.02 p-value approach, we're going to do 2 things. We need to first determine the test statistic, and 2, to determine the p-value. And your calculator will do both of these things. There's not going to be anything by hand. We do need to figure out the hypothesis, okay? There's a key word here. There's a key word here, significantly different. Significantly different always refers to not equal to.
Okay.
So you have to get that encoded in there. All right, now
Cross out some of those.
yeah, but it's absolutely that one there where the alternative hypothesis is the not equal to. That's always going to be the case when you see significantly different.
Okay.
Okay, now the nice thing about the calculator is that when you go to do a stat test 2 sample t-test, it will bring over all the values you just used.
Okay.
Okay, so I'd like you to try that. Go to stat.
And put
Test.
not equal to.
And we do have to choose that. Yes, 2 sample t-test. That's the little thing there. Yep. And then do a calculate.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Let me snip this in. There's not necessarily a good way to know like if your numbers are right. So you really have to make sure you have put these in the calculator correctly. So this one, minus 3.487 to 3 decimal places.
Mhm.
And then the p-value is right there. That e to the minus 4 is a big deal. You really want to write those. That means there's 3 zeros. There's always one less 0 than that number there. And then you start writing this number. So 826. We're going to 5 decimal places, so that 2 will round up to a 3. Oh, that's not good. 083 is your answer. I think we saw in the test last time, they're not going to be so close that you're going to have this issue, but for WebAssign, you got to be very, very accurate.
Okay, yeah, those were correct.
All right, now this is the important thing for the whole course, which we've talked about like over and over again. If the p-value is less than alpha,
Then it rejects.
then it
correct?
rejects. Yes, 0083. Is that less than 0.02?
Yes.
It is. So you reject H0. So when you're looking at the next answers, you're looking for the one that says reject. And there's two that say that. I'm stalling to get time here. There it is. So you can get rid of do not reject. Okay. The
So
word
would it be the second one then?
yes.
Because there is a significant difference, correct?
Yeah, yes, we can conclude. We can conclude.
Yeah.
So it's B. I think you meant, I'm not sure if you meant that, but yes,
Yep.
those words go together. Fantastic. All right, so let's go to number 16. The difference between this problem and the previous one is that they don't tell you the table of values. So you want to make your own table. You want to make your own table of X bar for the first, X bar for the second. S1 for the first, S2 for the second, N1 for the first, N2 for the second. Okay, so it says a sample of 93 tourists. So that's your N1. They spent an average of $2,825 in a week. That's X bar one with a standard deviation of 124.
Is this a 2-sample t-test?
It is. And so that you have to be able to quickly extract the information. 2885. And then S2 is 135.
And no square root?
No, because they're giving you the standard deviation. Now it's important that you see this. They're telling you to use Chattanooga minus Orlando. Your teacher in the exam will probably switch these.
Okay.
So you got to be careful that you got the right order for that. So the last time we did this, I think I've got a screenshot of it. It does give you the degrees of freedom. So you're going to use that 2-sample t-test here. And you're going to round down to the nearest integer for that.
So I got 137.149.
Say that again, 137.149.
Yes.
So that's going to round to 137.
130. Okay. And you just leave it as 137?
Yes.
Okay.
The test statistics should also be there, rounding it to 3 decimal places if you want to do that.
Yeah. With the same degrees of freedom?
That's not important at this point. The like it's the what I meant is like the degrees of freedom doesn't affect it, but the t value is right here in that. Like you should have the t value with it. Is it should be in the same screen is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, I see it. Okay. Got negative 2.88.
One more decimal place.
2.
Okay. And then p-value.
Sorry, one moment. I'm just checking them as we go. Okay, that's correct. And then p-value 0.004. I didn't like the 0.004. Oh, it's a rounding error. Oh. Huh.
Let me get caught up to you here. I just now getting the data entered and give you an answer here. Calculate. So 0.0045 8.
Yeah.
Is that what you see?
Yes.
Okay.
So the 4 would switch to a 5, right?
No, the 5 decimal places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got 5 here. This is
Oh, sorry, I was doing 4.
so just the one thing that we didn't really say, which does affect the p-value, is that it is determining if there's any significant difference, which makes it a not equal to or two-sided test, which we're not really emphasizing, but it will matter coming up. The next one here, you're comparing your p-value to the alpha level.
Okay. Yeah, it wanted the 8 to round up to a 9, which is weird because the last number behind the 8 was a 4.
Yeah, not sure.
That's kind of
You
odd.
you can argue that with your teacher if you want. P-value is 0.00458. How does that compare to 0.02?
Okay.
That's what you have to decide here. Is it less than or is it greater than?
It's less than.
It is less than. So that means you reject. And we can conclude. We can conclude.
Okay, we got that. It gave me the full points for that one, which is odd because maybe there's 2 different answers.
There's tolerance, like they're trying to not ding you over being just a little bit off in that one decimal place. All right. Here we go. Number 17 looks more difficult than it actually is. So you've got 2 data sets here, data set 1 and data set 2. Okay. You want to find the mean of the differences. So the data set 1 will go in list 1 and data set 2 will put in list 2. And we're doing this because you probably need that for another problem here. So that's second, or that's stat, no, not second, it's stat calc, no, stat edit, sorry, I'm all over the place. Stat edit, and then you should see your list 1, list 2.
Yes.
Okay, so you want to enter this data very carefully into list 1 and list 2. Very easy to make a mistake. I've done it many times. Probably will do it again. All right, so there we go.
My calculator's acting up weird. Edit. So 30, 25. I had some old numbers at the end, but I don't know how to get rid of them.
So to get rid of an old number, you unfortunately have to delete the entire column.
Oh, really?
Let me just check here. Or delete. Does delete work? Okay, actually the delete button does work. So you go to the data value and you just hit the delete button.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, you got that down? Feel like?
Yep.
Okay, so the next thing here is to quit out of it, second quit, and go back to stat. stat, and then calc. And this time you're going to see one variable stats.
Okay.
Actually, I wonder if we should try two variable stats. I haven't tried that in a while. Let me see if that'll do it.
So I hit second quit and now I go to stat,
Yeah.
edit. And I'm back to the same.
No, stat calc. There's a middle screen
Oh,
calc.
okay. And then I go to,
One variable stats,
okay. List one.
list one. And so you just want to get the average of list one.
So it's blinking on list one L.
Yeah,
Or-
so you just want to choose it and then hit enter to get the,
Frequent list or,
that, ignore that. You don't need,
okay, I got it.
so you should have something that looks like this.
Yep.
And then you do the same thing for list two. So you go back and do a stat calc.
Do I hit second quit again?
Yes, or clear. Now, second quit's like kind of like going back to your home screen. Doesn't hurt to do it. But now you do it for list two. And list two, L2 is under, you have to hit the second button and then the number two. There you'll see the little L2 above it.
Okay, I'm at calc and then it says one bar stat. Do I hit that one again?
Yeah, one variable stats. And then you have to choose the list.
And I hit second two.
Yes, because that'll give you list two to put
Okay,
in there.
got it.
And then you should get this next screen.
Got
So
that.
go. Nope, wrong button. 27.625.
Yeah.
All right, so all of that, I know it felt like a lot of work, but you will have to enter data and this does everything for you. So the answer is 25.625 minus 27.625. I'm using the means in
Mhm.
both of these. And so that's -2.
I mean, this stuff's easy as long as you know how to use your calculator.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Okay.
Okay. Now, unfortunately, you got to re-enter the data for 18 because it probably is slightly different, but we're gonna use a test again.
Okay.
But you do have to do L1 and L2 again. So that's stat, edit. One of the things I like to do is I like to clear out the list each time before I re-enter data.
Okay.
So let me show you that. Let me actually share my screen for that. I think that's probably worth showing. All right, so if you're seeing my screen here, I got the data in just like you do, but you go back up to L1 or L2 and you hit clear and then enter and it'll all go away.
Okay.
But you have to go up to L2. Now, if you don't like that, you can sit there and hit delete, 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 which also works,
Yeah.
you know, dealer's choice, right? So you want to enter this data in. I'll do it as well.
Okay. I got all the data in.
Right. So the next thing is to quit out of this, go to stat, test, to sample t-test. And this time you're going to choose data because you finally have data for once. Yeah. Like, when are we going to use the data? Now we're going to use it. Stat, test.
This one and list two.
Yep. So your data is in list one, list two. Now we should, well, it doesn't really matter for this one. we should talk a little bit more about when to use those, not equal to, greater than, less than, but it does not affect the test statistics. You can just calculate this.
Okay.
And you should get
2.424.
I don't like that. Possible we entered the data incorrectly. It's also possible that we were supposed to pull the variances. So let me go back and look at that.
Should I try option C? Or no?
Not yet. Let me. So the thing I'm changing is this pulled. And that did not impact it. So to me, that suggests that maybe we entered it wrong.
Does it mean anything when it says the mean of the difference is 3?
That's kind of a check, like what we did in the last problem. It would be like us going in there. So you can do this by hand, but I really don't want to do that. Test statistic. I mean, since it's multiple choice, I mean, I'm almost tempted to just tell you, like, it's probably B or C. I mean, I think you get 2 choices. But I don't like that. I think it's an data entry error is most likely cause.
But I think we both got the same answer, right?
Yes, which also bothers me. Why would we both get the same answer? Unless we entered them in wrong. 21, 24, 23. Okay. The other possibility here is that it's a z-test, which I don't know why it would be a z-test, but let's just say it is. Let me check that data, but we don't know the standard deviation, so that wouldn't work either. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'll try.
We can go to Chegg if we need to figure out what it is.
Yeah, C was wrong.
Okay. I guess I could also do this in my other program. Let me do that. I got that one up.
Okay.
All right, stat, t-stat, 2 sample. Unless this is a paired t-test. Do you guys talk about paired t-tests in class?
I didn't go to class last week because I
Okay.
was out of town. But...
All right, so let me try it a couple of ways to see if we can get the right answer here. Okay, so I'm getting the same one. So I think it's a paired t-test.
Okay.
Let's see if why that would be though. So yeah, it is a paired t-test, which means that it is this 2.316. Do you want me to show you how to get that in the calculator?
You go to, once you get the data and you go stat and then test, right? And then
This requires an additional step here. So it
okay.
requires going back to the list, and you have to put list 3 now. You have to go up to L3 and add a formula here, which isn't too bad. It's list 1
Okay.
minus list 2, like that.
Uh-huh.
Hit enter, and that will calculate the differences between list 1 and list 2 rather than doing them manually. Now this time you go to stat, test, t-test, just a t-test, because now you're using just the data in L1. Okay, so if you hit the calculate here, there's your I used the wrong data. Sorry, it's L3. It's list 3 because that's where the differences are stored. Okay. And you'll see 2.316. They snuck that one in there. So they're transitioning here to new problems. All right, let's look at 18, 19. We actually don't need all this information, but we'll snip it in here anyway. So they're saying at 2.316. Oh, you're not seeing my screen, are you? Sorry. Let me go back to.
Yeah, it seems like the tests are significantly easier than the homework.
Yes, I would agree. All right, so back to this. It refers back to actually very similar to that previous data set. But what you would really want to do is re-enter this in L1 and L2, find the difference for L3.
Like L1 minus L2.
L2, but you almost just want to do it by hand here. So let's do it that way.
Okay.
6, 0, 2, 3, 2, 3, 10, and -2. So go ahead and just put this in either L1 or L3 if you want, and do the stat test. It's the t-test, just the plain old single t-test.
Okay.
And I'll do the same thing. I'll use my software and see. We should get exactly the same thing like we did in the previous problem. All right, there it is. Store the differences. Okay.
For some reason, when I went stat test, there's a 52.
You're talking about stat test. It's t-test number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, you've got data or stats.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yes.
Okay. You want to use, let me snip this in here. You want to use data, and you got to figure out where your data is. Did you put those differences in L3 or L1?
I put them in L3.
Okay. So make sure that says L3 there. And then go down and calculate.
Okay.
You should see the test statistic of 2.316.
Exactly. Yep.
Now the p-value you should have is 0.0537. Is that right?
Yes.
How does that compare to the alpha level of 0.1?
It's less than.
So do you reject or not?
You reject.
Should be rejected.
Okay, I like that way. That's cool.
All right. So new problem here, number 20. Rinse and repeat. Here we go. So you're going to put, this is either L1 and L2, and then you calculate L3, or you just calculate the difference. And they tell you it's the score after this time minus the score before. So this one's switching it up a little bit. It's the 87 minus the 83. Their choice to do that. 88 minus 90. Don't ask me why. They're choosing that in this particular one. 93 minus 84 is 9. 83 minus 78 is 5. So it's the same thing. You're going to get the test statistic and the p-value. But this time down here, it says actually increase the score. Okay. So that's a greater, well, it's that, okay, so you're looking for the greater than is the one you want to highlight when you're doing this.
So for 77 and 77, would you just put 0?
Yes. Yes. All right, I'm going to grab these values as well. No, 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 no.
Yeah, I got the data in L3.
Okay. So go ahead and do that stat, test, t-test.
L3. Okay. I got 3.068. So 0.6 or 0.7.
Sorry, I'm just getting caught up to you and turn it myself. I'm sorry, one more time.
The T is 3.0680. So guessing it'd be 3.0.
I got a different value. You use these differences 4, -2, -3, 0, 9, and 5.
Yes.
And you got it, you do an L3 for your,
Yeah.
okay. I got a T-stat of 1.148.
Okay. I don't know how to go back and look at my data.
So it's going back to stat, edit there.
Okay, I got 423.095.
Okay, there's the issue. It should be -2 and -3. It's the right one minus the left one.
-2 and -3.
Yes. 0, 9, and 5.
Okay. Now I got 1.148.
And your p-value, make sure you change that to a greater than. Should be 0.1514.
Okay.
How's that looking?
Those are both correct.
Okay, last part is the conclusion. Basically, you look at your p-value 0.1514. How does that compare to your alpha level of 0.05?
It is greater than.
Greater than. So we do not reject. There is no significant difference.
Awesome. Oh wait. I clicked the wrong one. All right, perfect.
All right, you mentioned maybe doing some econ or something else, or what would
Yeah, I
be
have a
best?
little like 10-question quiz.
All right, let's go back. Hopefully you're seeing the screen now. There it is. Yeah. Okay, so let's close out of that and let's go. How do we do this quickly? Dashboard, maybe.
Yes.
All right.
And then it's on Monday. Let's see. I got a lot of homework.
Yeah, so there's accounting. Okay, this
Right
one,
there.
the iQuiz.
Should be 10 questions or 12. Oh,
Okay, let me just scroll through it and see if there's any numerical problems here.
I try and use Chegg on these, but I don't usually get. I usually get like a 9 out of 12 or something like that. I know
Yeah,
that's all right,
yeah,
but with my test coming up, I kind of want to do better.
got it. I mean, there's only one numerical problem here. The rest, I mean, I have to sort of study up on to give you the for sure right answer.
Mhm.
Always check the upvotes and downvotes on Chegg. They're pretty
Okay.
accurate. And if they've only got one upvote, that's that's where you got to be really careful because
Yeah.
might have been the person going in with their friend here. All right, so like when I look at something like this, it says use the figure to answer the question with the tariff. So the tariff causes this to happen. The quantity of saddles imported is, so it's the difference between the supply and the demand. So it looks like it's Q3 minus Q2.
Okay.
That's kind of my best guess on that. I think,
Q3. Q2.
yeah, I would maybe check that as well. Let's look at 11 here. Use the figure above to answer this question. With the tariff, the quantity sold by local producers is, okay, domestic supply, domestic demand. With the tariff, okay, the quantity sold by local producers. So the tariff gets you closer to the world price. It is in the closed economy. This is more about tariffs and not really about the graph here. The tariff, what does the tariff do? It makes it harder for, it's a tax. Taxes generally decrease the quantity sold. So typically, you know this from your own life, when there's a tax involved, there's less than with free trade. But I don't love that. So let me go back to the beginning here and see if I can maybe help here. Economists use basic psychological insights in a field of study called, believe it is behavioral economics.
Okay.
But you can check that if you want. Trade enhances the economic well-being of a nation in the sense that, so trade is always good because there's gains, there's good things that happen. Trade results in an increase in total surplus compared with a closed economy. Sounds true, but let's keep going. Both domestic producers and domestic consumers of good become better off with trade, regardless of whether the nation imports or exports the good in question. Not sure. The gain of domestic producers of a good exceed the losses of domestic consumers of a good, regardless of whether the nation imports. So these are really similar. Trade puts downward pressure on the price of all goods. Okay, I believe that is not true for sure.
Okay.
Trade results in an increase in a total surplus compared with a closed economy. So that's consumer and producer surplus. I'm really not sure if that is
That's
true or
okay.
not. I'd have to think about that. Let's go to something maybe I can better help with.
Yeah.
Country has a comparative advantage. So comparative advantage means that it makes more sense for them to produce that good compared to another good. If the world price is comparative advantage, so this is more complicated because typically the comparative advantage means you just produce more of it. They're talking about the world price. The question is like, if your price, how would your price compare to the world price if you had a comparative advantage? And if this is in terms of like selling something, you'd want to be able to produce it at a lower price and then sell it at a higher price. So
We can stop here.
yeah, not sure. These are tough.
Yeah, I understand.
Got to be very, very careful. So Course Hero is another resource that you might find useful. They often actually have, the results